Hi, welcome to etretail.com. My name is Bhavya Mishra. I'm a part of etretail.com, and today we have on panel a very esteemed representatives from the Indian retail industry, Mr. B.S. Nagesh, who has also been the CEO of Shoppers Stop Limited, and now he's the founder of Terrain. And we have Mr. Ahtesham Siddiqui, who's the head HR for Trend Hypermarkets in India. The topic of this Google Hangout is the best manpower practices in Indian retail industry, and as we all of us know, attrition is very high in retail sector, despite this being a very prolific and lucrative sector for from investments point of view for Indian retailers and abroad. So, Mr. Nagesh, let me put my first question to you. From being the CEO of Shoppers Stop till today, how has the retail scenario in India changed, sir? In general, as an observer and also as a retail practitioner.
Well, I have had a journey in Shoppers Stop, which is starting 1991 with just about 12, 13 employee to when I exited as the managing director of the company in 2009, close to about 4,500 employees in the group. I have seen the organization grow, and to me, the journey has moved in multiple ways. One of the ways the journey has moved is that time modern retail was being questioned. Today, modern retail is established. Even the FMCG companies which question the role of modern retail do not question anymore. I think now people are talking about what is the share of modern retail in the overall retail. On the employee people front, and I think that's the topic of today, things have also changed. I mean, we started with just 12, 13 employees. Most of them were freshers for the first time they joined the company. As we progressed in 93, 94, I said if we have to really make retail do well, we have to get people who are really educated. So we almost mandated, said that we'll take only graduates in our company. And starting 94 to almost I think 2002, we only took graduates. So that's the journey that we had in the second leg. And certainly from 2000 onwards, when many other retailers came, and the onset of the call centers and the online and the back offices, suddenly we found that the companies had to drop the intake, and from graduates we went to 12th pass to 10th pass. So I think we have seen fluctuations in the way the industry has taken people, the way the industry has grown people, and therefore the challenges have been increasing. So I think that's been the two changes in terms of the way the businesses move. Of course, we've had lots of competitors coming in, lots of new brands coming in, lots of large groups coming in, which has really expanded the whole market and has created huge opportunities for a retail business in the country.
So there was also a time when retail was not considered as a very respected work sector, basically. Has this also changed today? Has it? I mean, given the fact that yeah, you do recruit graduates, you do recruit 10th and 12th passing students also, but has the sector upgraded in terms of the respect that is being given to retail industry in India today?
There has been movement. I wouldn't say that retail has become suddenly the hottest sector and the respect has grown. I mean, let's not forget that retail and housekeeping and construction are at the bottom of the pyramid and almost all over the world, wherever retail is a very large sector. But what has happened is that because a lot of people who started off in the 1990s have grown in their career in retail, so the respectability within the smaller social groups have improved. Retail is no more just an entry-level jobs, because a lot of people also start in retail at 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, and if you're into some jewelry retail, sometimes you will start at 20, 25,000. So respectability also comes with the income level and the kind of environment and the kind of products that you deal with the luxury brands, premium brands. I mean, whether you look at a Tommy Hilfiger or you look at the urban brands or you look at the Emporio in Delhi, which is a luxury mall. I think the income levels are growing, the products are growing, the kind of clients you deal with is growing, and therefore respectability is slowly improving. But at a grassroots level, has the respect for retail gone up? I would say yes, there is improvement in the last 4 or 5 years, but I would say it's a long way to go.
Sure. Now my question is both for you and Mr. Siddiqui. How serious is the problem of attrition for retail today, sir? And how
I'll
has
leave,
it transformed or changed over the years?
let Siddiqui take this over.
Okay. Uh, I think if you talk about problems associated with retail industry, I would probably consider this one of the most glaring area. Uh, and when I'm talking about attrition, it is primarily at the entry level because the industry has still not matured to a level where industry is in a position to uh, uh, you know give significant salary where people can live quality life. So as a result, at the entry level, a lot of people still don't look at it as a long-term career. It is very often looked at it as a stepping stone. So when people come in without experience, they gain some confidence, they then want to move on to jobs which will pay them better. I think the solution to this lies is in the industry finding a way to make this a career opportunity, and it will happen when the entry level salaries go up to a respectable level. And I think all of us are working towards it uh, in making this a career option for entry level people.
So, but both of you, Mr. Nagesh and Mr. Siddiqui, given that the retail sector itself operates on considerably low profit margins, how possible or how credible is this to increase the incentives for the shop floor level employee or the entry level employee in the retail sector?
Uh, I think it is quite practical, and this I'm saying based on not just optimism but based on experience. See, ultimately, when you look at thin margins, uh, the profitability for a business will come when staff cost as a percentage to sales is under control. And when you're keeping that under control, it does not mean you need to pay less per person. The answer lies in using the people more productively. And as the industry is growing, people don't mind doing a lot of self-service. So you don't need to have every 100 square foot two people over there. You have to enable people to shop. You have to have good quality people, and you pay them better. I think we are on a journey in Trent Hypermarket where we have learned to manage with fewer but better qualified and trained people who can be paid better. And as Mr. Nagesh said, this is something which is one of the things we are working on. It's a journey, long way to go, but we have made good progress on that front, and I'm very optimistic that we will get there.
Mr. Nagesh, how have HR practices in manpower evolved over the years from since the outset of modern retail in India? I mean, the best practices. How have retailers been more sensitized towards the issues of the retail sector employees?
See, you spoke about attrition and you questioned as to what is the attrition. Siddiqui
Yeah.
spoke about attrition, but what's happened is the converse of attrition has become retention. And a
Yeah.
lot of companies have realized that instead
Yeah.
of chasing to control attrition figures, can we actually work towards retention? Because retention is a more positive way of looking at things. So let me talk to you about 3 or 4 practices which I have seen across sectors, from the smallest retailer to largest retailers, to show as to how can you really care for your people and what can you do. I met a small kirana shop in Nasik, and he was talking about saying his retention is 100% and his attrition is zero, and it's bigger than the normal kiranas. He has 12 employees, and when I asked him what practices do you use, and he says every year I send all my employees by rotation to a vipassana course, and they go for 8 days or 10 days for a vipassana course. So I said, how does that make a difference? He said, sir, अगर वो विपासना करेंगे, उनका दिमाग और दिल सही जगह पे रहेगा, तो वो चोरी क्यों करेंगे और हमको छोड़ के क्यों जाएंगे? That was example that he gave. The second, I met a wholesaler, Mr. Ramneek Bhai Cheda in Mumbai, okay, and they're very well known as Cheda stores. So when I was talking to him about again attrition, and he talked about retention, and he said that unlike other small kiranas or retailers who do not pay delivery to the sales boys, he says that whatever delivery charges I charge, first of all, he says I charge delivery charges from my customers. Whatever delivery charge that I charge, the full delivery charge goes to the employee as incentive. So he says my competitor does 4 deliveries a day, Okay, my employees do 10 deliveries a day. So look at these practices, and none of them are MBAs from IIMs, nor they are corporates wearing tie and suit. So this is one extreme of saying, as long as you are concerned about your employees, you want to retain them, and you believe that a retail employee is extremely important for the success of the company, I mean, there's a fantastic practice. On the other side, as part of the journey in Shopper Stop, I have actually seen that from the time we started the whole Kangaroo program, the Kangaroo program is a development center-based program where employees right at the grassroots level from customer care associates are invited to come and participate. They are selected, they are mentored, they have buddies, and then they grow every year. Once a year, they do assessment centers, and then you select and promote them as supervisors. I mean, today the Kangaroo program has grown to such an extent that 60-65% of the store managers, supervisors, department managers are from this program. So to me, when I went back and checked from the employees, I mean, they tell me basically two or three things. One, they say is, I mean, as long as we are getting respect, and second is we are able to learn, and third is we are able to grow, and we get reasonable compensation, I think it's absolutely fair for us. We would like to stay with the company. So the key is allow them to learn or provide them opportunity to learn, give them opportunity to grow, and then ensure that they are respected for the role, respected for the designation. So these are I give you practices on both sides, the smallest and a fairly large chain of stores, and these are all practices which are developed. There are many practices which I can quote you from all across, but these are the two which are extreme, which I thought I'll share with you as to how people are looking at retention as the focus rather than chasing attrition.
So what appears to be the trend going forward is that are Indian retailers going to be focusing more on quality of manpower as opposed to quantity of manpower? Is it, I mean, because I mean, I'm sure given the challenges and profitability of a retail company, basically, it's definitely not possible to have a lot of workforce involved. But yeah, focusing on limited. But yeah, as you said, retention as well. So is it going to be the trend forward? Is that what your understanding is?
Absolutely, absolutely. Not only that, I think people have to ensure that they skill their employees. I think Siddiqui very rightly said that it's all about quality. It is not necessarily about numbers. It is about quality manpower who can deliver much larger output. So if you go into a German retailer or you go into a German skill development
Sure.
centers and ask them to say that how much time do you require to train an employee to become a retail associate, a customer care associate, their programs are for 2 years. I mean, after the
Oh,
10th standard, they train them for 2 years to become a customer care associate. Okay, whereas in many of our companies in India, a person is
yeah.
taken today morning and sent to the floor tomorrow morning. Okay, because they say that, I mean, you have to be ingrained to become a great salesman. Okay, I mean, you have to understand the process. Every process leads to productivity. So if we all start looking at to say that's the kind of input that goes in, even the employee starts seeing that is the kind of input that he gets in, and therefore both will start
Hmm.
valuing each other. And after you put so much of money behind an employee, I mean, you are not going to pay him peanuts and let him go, because then your whole objective will be, I'm spending so much and investing so much, what can I do to retain him? So to me, very rightly, as Siddiqui said, we need to ensure quality is there. We need to ensure we skill them. We need to ensure we upskill them. So put investment behind them, and then of course pay them and retain them. I think so. This is the whole gamut of activities which retailers have to do. So I fully agree with you that quality is important. We'll have to build quality in manpower.
Sure. So in terms of the cost that a company is spending on a particular employee, how have the costs gone up or been curtailed, or what have been the changes in terms of the investment that a company makes in training or retaining its retail employees? To
I
Mr. Siddiqui and to you,
Yeah,
sir, both of you.
no, let Siddiqui take it up because he's a practicing HR head.
Sure.
I'm more like a
Sure.
retired
Yeah.
operating guy. See, in terms of if you look at the costs, what's happened is because most of the retailers are still wanting to spend the least amount on employees, therefore most of them have actually adopted to the minimum wages, and there are very few, 10 to 15% of retailers who have actually moved towards paying them an appropriate compensation based on the kind of skill required and the kind of role they have. So honestly, if you look at it, the wages have not moved at all. In fact, as part of our trust activities, we did a survey of the last 20 years, and we actually chose a few employees who had started their career in 1991 as sales associate, the customer care associate. And we found as of 2010, the inflation was about 8%, 7.98%, and whereas the compensation of these employees had not even grown by 7.6%. So they have actually not been able to beat inflation. So it's unfortunate and fairly poor from a retail point of view that we are not able to even give them basics in terms of inflation-led compensation or inflation-led salaries.
See, most companies are gearing up to have their own capability and training, and we talked about number of people leaving and number of people joining. So most people have fairly efficient structure, but as Nagesh was talking about, the real training perhaps takes 2 years, and we are far away from getting to a situation where we take people to a journey of completion and acquiring the skill which we require even at the front end. So a lot of work still needs to be done on that area, and I do believe that most organizations who are looking at expanding and growing also need to work on building capacity. So a lot of things will happen parallelly. While you're building the capability, you also need to build capability. Otherwise, when the retail growth continues to happen, you don't want a situation where people are moving from one organization to the other and the industry is not generating and developing enough talent. So capacity, capability, as well as some of the cultural aspects Mr. Nagesh talked about as to what will make people with their heart and mind associate with your business.
So there's also, I'm talking about the culture part of it. You know, a lot of foreign retailers have also entered India through JVs, and many of them are looking at the Indian market. When it comes to sourcing the manpower from the domestic market itself, how sensitive are these foreign retailers towards the culture, the sentiments of our local people, and how customized are they in, you know, adopting their HR practices accordingly?
Siddiqui is the best guy to answer this.
Okay, who would you like to? Okay, so I can talk about it from a limited experience of my own working with Tesco in the joint venture that we are in. If you look at our business, while it is a joint venture, it is completely managed by Indians. So, which is the case in many other Tesco countries, and they appreciate that India has sufficient depth of talent. Many times experience may not be enough, and this is not a contradictory statement. There is quality of talent, probably with insufficient depth of experience. But when these people are oriented and put on the job, you get tremendous quality output. So today, if you look at our own model, they are relying on Indian talent completely, taking the best practices from our foreign partners, Tesco, but localizing it completely. I think by and large retailers understand that retail is very local, and when I'm saying local, it's not just retail is the same thing all over India. Our one store in one catchment in Mumbai is different from another store in another part of Mumbai. So I think most foreign retailers do understand the local nature of business and allow that space for operators to operate.
Sure. So, Mr. Nagesh, how is online retail and brick and mortar retail different from manpower service practices point of view, and the intricacies of these businesses?
Let me go back and try to connect this from the earlier question that you asked. I mean, typically the retail definition is that you are at the last mile of the business, of the value chain, connecting directly with the consumer. Okay, so whether it is a domestic retailer or international retailer, Retail is always a domestic business. It's a business which is done on the ground with customers and consumers on the ground. So you could be from anywhere, but you have to sell in the place that you are there. Therefore, you have to be connected to the local needs. So I would say that 99% in terms of numbers are always local people. Uh, I have uh, I have seen a retailer who came in and brought in 12 expats and had tremendous issues. I have also seen retailers who have started with just Indians have had issues. So I think it's a judicious mix of what skills you require, at what level and what experience you require. But I would say it's a local business. So therefore, it's always ideal to have people who are on the ground and who are connected to the customer. Number one. Coming to your next point in terms of online versus offline, actually you look at it, online is as people intensive as offline. Okay, although we keep talking about saying online is not brick and mortar, but don't forget that on one side, let us say if you compare a Reliance or a Big Bazaar to let's say a Flipkart or an Amazon, and if you look at any one category, okay, the number of people in the store catering to the customer may be far less than the number of the people who are trying to do deliveries at stores. And don't forget, in an online business, the delivery is happening to consumer houses, okay, and you may be delivering 100 packets at one time, and it could be 100 people delivering, okay, whereas in stores, that's not the kind of requirement. The second is in stores, you're still stationary, so you're not doing the reverse logistics. So you're not going to take back goods from the customer's house, whereas online, they're also doing that. So online is also as intensive, especially from a delivery point of view. So people are extremely critical because in both the cases you're touching the end point of the value chain. So you have to deliver the customer service. So just imagine if a Flipkart or an Amazon comes to your house and delivers the most beautiful dress, okay, and you will look the most beautiful lady in the world, but the guy who's delivering is stinking and is in tatters. I mean, the whole experience for you will be bad. So people intensiveness in retail is, I think, very, very important. So both of them have to work. And the good part of online and offline is it will upgrade the kind of people in the front end. And let's not forget that when you train people to deliver better service, you train people to acknowledge the customer, you are training them as human beings also. So industries, cities, companies, countries which have more retail always get better service attitude towards the society. So I think it's a huge change that you will see on service level with online coming in and adding strength to the offline business.
So there's also evolution in terms of technology, in-store technology. There's automated services. Then there are so many other things which actually enable a retailer to completely do away, not completely, but yeah, to do away with the manpower force to some extent. And I'm sure that this has happened abroad, but I'm sure it's going to happen in India eventually as well. So what's the trend that you see in India? Do you see that
Okay.
human beings are actually replaceable in retail stores as far as the Indian market is concerned?
No, since you mentioned about the most advanced market, let's talk about the US market. Okay, even in the US market, where probably Amazon has done a fantastic job, let's not forget that the Macy's and the Saks Fifth Avenue have had tremendous success in omni-channel. Okay, and today also I'm told that in omni-channel business, the click and collect is still 65%. So which means even those customers who click and select their item online go to the store to collect their items. So basically the interface is eventually the human interface. Okay. Unless the whole drone comes into such a place that even the deliveries there won't be people involved, there could be reduction in manpower but not that substantial. Yes, because of productivity there will be probably overall less requirement of people. I do not see even in international markets the people going away from the whole retail environment, and therefore I don't see that happening in India at all, because as of today the labor is still cheaper, the people cost is still lower as a unit cost, maybe not as a percentage because our productivity is still lower in retail, but I do not anticipate in the next 10, 15, 20 years people going away from the retail business.
Sure, wonderful. Mrs. Siddiqui, what's your understanding, sir? Different verticals, consumer electronics, FMCG, grocery, apparel, fashion. Are the requirements for these different verticals different in terms of the requirement on the part of the manpower force?
Uh, See, one needs to look at the two levels. At one level, every retail is a retail, and I would include even multi-channel or online retail in that. So, at some level, they are all the same. So, we must bear that in mind. At a next level, there are very obvious differences either in channels or the formats or the products they sell because of the degree of engagement involved, frequency of the buy. So if you look at more lifestyle products, yes, because the buying behavior is different, the way people would like to shop, and the reason for buying and using those products are different, and therefore there is a difference in the quality of interface that you want. On the other end, if you look at food retail, which is more functional, it is not a shopping which people typically would enjoy. Therefore, probably the speed would be the key. That when you enter in a supermarket or a hypermarket, you get all your products, you know where they are kept, you get a clean working trolley. When you are at the tills, you want to check out very fast. So those are the kind of differences that will play. But otherwise, at certain level, I think there are more unifiers than differentiators in my view.
Yes, I would agree with Siddiqui. The only thing that I would add is that depending on the kind of product categories, you have what we call as low service intensity and high service intensity products. So, for example, if you go to a fashion store, a T-shirt is a low intensity. You don't require anybody's service. But if you're selling a trouser, then in order for waist size, you may require a high intensity, and therefore, I mean, manpower is required and skilling may be required. The more higher you go on the fashion level, Indian consumers are still evolving, so you may require people to help them with their style, with their coordination, with helping them get their ensemble. So the higher the service level, the service intensity, the more the skill required and the people required. On the extreme case, if you look at electronic gadgets, you require people definitely in order to help customers, train them, educate them before you sell them. And the best example is one of the largest electronic players in the world, Apple, and one of the best players in the world in technology, Apple. If you go to an Apple store anywhere in the world, you'll find that it's full of people. It's full of people. I mean, they're buzzing around and they're bubbly and they're talking and chatting. So even a company like Apple, when it does retail, it has almost in a store of 5,000 square feet, maybe 50 to 100 people serving. So to me, intensity will actually determine what kind of people you require and how many people you require.
Sure. Uh, in terms of as the founder of Terrains, what are some key measures that you've taken up in order to see that the retail workforce is upgraded, is actually on a higher pedestal, and definitely you are there for their cause. So some of the key measures, if you can just spell out to our listeners.
No, we have looked at basically when we met all the retail employees and retailers, we have identified three large areas to work on. Okay, and very, very conscious of the fact that retail is an integral part of the society. One area is around pride and respect, and therefore, when we created this whole concept of Retail Employees Day, which gets celebrated on the 12th of December, okay, we have
Yeah.
seen that from just about 100,000 employees celebrating last year, we had close to about a million employees celebrating
Oh,
across almost about 80 cities and towns, including international, where Boiler Corporation in Turkey celebrated. So I think that's something where, and when we have gone back and done some research, we have found that the pride level has gone up. We have found that retention has improved over the next 30 days. In fact, in one of the companies they have measured and they saw that the productivity went up. So I think that's the pride part of it. The Respect the Trade Retail Awards definitely has brought in a huge bank of customer service stories. The very fact that our own Indian associates are able to deliver some excellent customer service, which could be benchmarked anywhere in the world, is a matter of great respect. And like I said, last year we had 3,000 people who had applied. We already opened the entries this year, and we are looking at superheroes for this year. So these are two areas where we have worked, which have started giving us results. I'm sure Siddiqui is a better judge because he's also been a very active participant as a company towards all this work that we do. The second area that we talk of is inclusion and skilling. On the inclusion, our program called PUNK, which is training of disabled youth from various areas. I mean, that has been a very, very successful venture of ours. The idea was not only to create livelihood for disabled, but the idea was to bring in inclusion in retail. Because when retail serves the society, it is important for retailers to understand that they have to be part of the society. And India has 70 million people who are disabled, with hardly 1% employed. So we thought that this would be a fantastic way to look at inclusion in retail. And from one center 3 years back, today we have 12 centers. From 22 disabled youth in the first year, last year we had 540 disabled youth who were provided livelihood. From one company in 3 years back to today, we have 62 corporate retailers and various retail companies who are brought in the inclusion. They're taking people with disabilities. So I think these are some of the programs that have done very well. Our skill development program has also taken shape. Last year we did almost about 26,000 hours of training where we teach youth English, we teach them retail, we help them with their personality development. So that has also moved very well. So out of the 3 areas that we wanted to work, pride and respect, skilling inclusion, and social security and health, I think the first 4 areas have done well. We are yet to start a program on health and social security, which is basically to provide better security measures for retail employees from kiranas to modern retails, because they are at the lowest level in terms of their income level.
So what is the current rate of attrition in the retail industry today? If you would have some numbers to quote.
So sorry, I missed your last sentence. Can you repeat, please?
I said, what is the prevailing rate of attrition in the retail industry, and what is the percentage of increase of people joining the retail?
I mean, one figure I can quote, because we were part of the white paper publication that we did last few months back, and there when our research shows that the attrition level was about 7% a month, which literally meant that you had about 84% of the employee turnover within the year. And I would say this will be more or less fair, because most people would have underplayed the attrition. However, we also know of companies where the attrition is just about 10%, and we also know of companies where the attrition is more than 100%. As far as the increase in manpower is concerned, because the modern retail is growing between 15 to 20%, both organic and inorganic, I would say that the increase is close to about 15 to 20%. And let's not forget that even the smaller stores and the kiranas are employing people, because the addition of stores is continuing. And if you look at the FMCG and other brands and online players who started going into the smaller towns, town number 100 to town number 500, so there again the employment towards retail is improving and increasing. I mean, I don't think there's a very definite figure which has been released by anybody to quote.
I touched upon this briefly earlier on. I've been associated with the industry for a long time, so fortunate to dig deep into this and get some insights on attrition. What the reason for attrition are always multiple: emotional reasons, financial reasons, social reasons. I think we have got away from the social stigma, so to say, of working in retail, because the space of retail and the image of retail has changed in the country. The key factor, I mean, if I say our example, that more than 90% of people, when you talk to them, do a formal survey on engagement and their intention to stay with the company, 90% of people want to stay with you. At the same time, when you experience 70%, 75% attrition in certain stores, you wonder what is going wrong, right? So, unfortunate reality is that the industry's need and capacity to pay more, when I say pay more, it could be 20-25% to bring them to a certain level of quality of living, is one of the factors. And as Mr. Nagesh touched upon, opportunities to learn and grow. So we did some program which helps identify talent at an early stage, put them through a structured training with a promise and hope for growth. When you put them through such a program and you see the effect in a couple of months' time, the attrition comes down to 1/4. So this program uses both growth, development, career opportunities, as well as some financial reward. A combination of this brings down attrition by 1/4, which is a significant change. Which is why I believe these are the options or route that we need to take to enhance retention in the organization.
So talking about trend hypermarkets, what are some of the 3-4 best practices that you deploy to encourage your retail employees, your employees?
2-3 things I'll talk about. One is we are very focused on learning and development, because money alone cannot keep people satisfied, motivated. So, and we score fortunately very high when it comes to employee satisfaction surveys on opportunity to learn and grow. And we have fairly structured programs from at entry level onwards, going up to director level, where we have career discussion, career planning, personal development plan, and structured growth for people. So that is something which we can take pride in. Second is on engagement. While we are, I would say, even at this stage, a fairly large organization, we have tried to retain the smallness of the organization, where people have opportunity to be heard, people have a social life that they live, they have opportunity to have fun while they are working. These are some of the programs we have been able to successfully continue and maintain. Challenge would be, as we grow bigger, how we maintain that character of a small organization is something that has to be seen. Third one, I would say, we believe that people, when they're employed or when they're spending lots of time at workplace, they want far more meaning out of work. So if you engage, allow them opportunities to engage with the community, engage with people who are less fortunate compared to them. Talking of example, Mr. Nagesh said about differently abled people. When you engage with stores and store managers and want to create opportunities for such people, we get phenomenal response. People are willing to identify more and more positions for such people, and they take a lot of pride that they are an inclusive society. Though it's beyond work, but I think it gives far more meaning to their own lives. So these are the 3 areas I would think we take quite a lot of pride in.
Sure, I'll pose the last question to Mr. Nagesh. Mr. Nagesh, what are the 3 high points which the Indian retailers need to keep in mind to sustain and to encourage and retain their employees, sir? Just to conclude the hangout now with that question.
I would say one very important part is that the front-end associate, the customer care associate, or the people have to be as important as customers and profitability and shareholders. So you cannot have a retail organization which does not keep people at the same level as customers and shareholders, because without them you can't serve. I think that is very, very important. The second part is that you have to work out continuously a program to skill them, make them learn it, because the customers have got technology in their hand. Many times the customers are more knowledgeable than the employees. So you'll have to ensure that the employee is continuously updated. I think that's the second part of it. The third is, retail is a very, very tedious business. I mean, you have 7 days the store operates, you start in the morning, end up in the night. So the family life of the retailer is very, very poor. The social life is very bad. Organizations have to also keep this in mind, that today the employees are 22, 23, 24, but as they get into family life, 28 to 35, the organizations have to have a human face to their employees, and they cannot have just the corporate face. So I would say these are the 3 things which will make retail a much more employee-friendly industry, and then help us all grow to the next level.
Sure. It was wonderful chatting with you, Mr. Nagesh and Mr. Siddiqui. Thanks for your valuable time. And with this, we would like to conclude the hangout today, sir. And we look forward to hearing more from you and seeing more of you, sir. Both of you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, Siddiqui. Bye.